The Unburdening of Daniel. Daniel sat in his dim, cluttered garage, the midday sun a hazy intrusion through the dust-caked window. He was a father of 3, but for years, he'd felt more like a ghost in his own life. His children, active and demanding, seemed a constant rebuke to his inertia. His wife, bless her patience, carried the financial burden he'd shed years ago. The root of his crippling laziness wasn't idleness. It was fear. It had started in the turbulent atmosphere of his childhood home. "Why can't you just do it right?" Daniel, his mother's voice, laced with frustration, echoed in his memory, often immediately followed by the angry, low rumble of his parents arguing. Every task, every mistake, became a terrifying risk of inciting a storm. Later, as a young clerk for a meticulous, short-tempered lawyer, that fear was refined into a sharp anxiety. "Your language is imprecise, Daniel. Your thinking is erroneous. This is a mess." The lawyer's sharp corrections on his letters and reports convinced Daniel that every move he made was fundamentally flawed. He learned to do nothing to avoid doing it wrong. College professors were the final layer of dread, the threat of failure so pervasive that he began to procrastinate, turning in late assignments until he eventually dropped out. When the inevitable job loss came, his fear transformed into chronic, overwhelming procrastination. Why apply? He reasoned silently. They'll see the flaws. I'll fail again. For years, the application drafts sat untouched, the phone calls unmade, his ambition choked by a paralyzing whisper. You are not enough. You will be rejected. One slow afternoon, skimming old papers, he found a passage tucked away in a neglected Bible. It was the text he'd once briefly heard at a funeral, Romans 8 verses 28 to 39. As he read the words, the voice on the paper seemed to shout, "If God is for us, who can be against us?" Daniel felt the words cut through the suffocating quiet of the garage. He read again, "We are more than conquerors through him who loved us." He reread the entire section, the truths hitting him like waves, washing away the layers of his old fears. His parents' anger? God works for his good in all things. The lawyer's corrections? God had already justified him. No one could bring a charge against him. The threat of failure? No failure, no present, no future, no power will be able to separate us from the love of God. The paralysis broke. The anger and fear he'd absorbed from others suddenly seemed small, powerless, and external to his core identity. If the creator of the universe had already declared him worthy, called him, and promised to work everything for his ultimate good, then what did the judgmental words of a flawed parent or an exacting employer truly matter? The next morning, Daniel didn't just think about applying for a job. He walked straight to the old desktop computer. He didn't agonize over the perfect sentence in his resume. He started typing, trusting that the God who promised to give him all things would certainly give him the strength and guidance for this task. The fear of being wrong was replaced by the faith that, even if he failed, he would never be separated from a love that conquered death itself. Daniel didn't get the first job he applied for, nor the second. But he kept going. He lived by faith in the God who loves him, recognizing that he was a beloved child, forever chosen and justified. The old laziness, born of terror, gradually melted away, replaced by a quiet, determined assurance. He still got things wrong, but now he saw a mistake not as a failure of his identity, but as a small hurdle in a life where he was already more than a conqueror. He became, finally, the man his children needed, present, active, and unburdened by the ghosts of his past.